being in the markets, my daughter, any daughter looks up to their dad and overstates the grandiosity of the father. But my daughter's like, Dad, you just, I ask you a question. She's like, the answer to all this stuff. I'm like, no, Sarah, my daughter, Sarah. I go, I've been in the markets for a million years. I've been in a trucking stock. I've been in a biotech stock. I've been in a plastic stock. I know this much about everything, but not enough to be valuable. So being in the markets is the most enlightening. I wonder, after understanding economics, like I'm incompetent to work at the Federal Reserve. I'm not an economist. I'm not that smart, but I understand economics enough to know a lot about the world and how the world works. And I look at people in Congress and I'm like, they are incompetent. They are incompetent to do their jobs. The president, maybe Ronald Reagan, was not competent to be the drug czar, the housing czar, the leader of the military, and all the other branches. But he brought in experts from that industry that were in that industry for many years and were top dogs in that industry. If your presidential cabinet is not loaded with people from industry, you appoint them because of their clout or their donations, you're a charlatan. You're a schmuck. It's detrimental. Tangent, man.
Well, it's fascinating because I find markets in general find people that can balance theory and practical application, which literally transitions over from exactly what you were just talking about, is this idea of needing people with some level of experience in both. When you look at your day-to-day, habits, how much of it are you leaning on the theory of what you've learned versus the practical application of the skill set? Because I know for me, I spent a lot of time in theory upfront, understanding, again, how derivatives work, all the different details, because they're very nuanced products. But then after a while, you kind of just have a feel for them. And I think the feel, quote unquote, is a lot of subconscious processing that just is happening in the background from that learned experience. But on a day-to-day, I have my things I look for, but a lot of times I can do a cursory overview and have a good, quote unquote, feel to whether or not this is the right place for me to be. Do you find the same when you're looking for your stocks, or is each and every one a very rigorous process?
I find that finding stocks is easy by screening. It's just second nature to me. The real battle is when the market's open and you're being fired at and your emotions are running high. But I'm automatic. I have my stop losses. I know exactly where they are. I know from history when it breaks the 50 down volume, I'm watching the volume. I know exactly what to look for. But when the market's turning up, I have my Roppel report. I have my battle plan. I'm in the turret. I'm ready to go. I have the plan. It's right in front of me. So I don't have to. I will run screens in the day for price up on volume, but I already know what those names are because I did all my research on Sunday. It's a combination. Like there's another quote. It says, education is pretty thin stuff without experience. And I'll say something else. You can talk a lot and write a beautiful newsletter, but implementing, whole nother world. 90% of the game is implementation. It's kind of like, what did Tyson say? Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. And the market is going to punch you in the face a lot. So it's a combination of both. It's both. It's experience. It's really discipline to implement your plan, whether it's can slim or value or GARP or whatever the heck you're doing. It's discipline to not be led by your emotions or scared by your emotions or become greedy because of your emotions. Like I said, the book, you have options for a strategic investment behind you, green and white book. Okay. Mm-hmm. I read the book a million years ago. Anyone can read that book and probably make money if they implement the process.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair. I think one of the things that would help people now is there's unlimited information out there. And I think that people find themselves in just analysis paralysis, information overload. You can get to just this nitnoy level of detail with everything. But you found a pretty efficient way to just generally cull, a large sample or a large population into a small sample, right? You have like your criteria that you're looking for. If somebody wants to get more efficient at scanning the market specifically for can slim style stocks, because that's your area of expertise, what are some of the introductory scans you think they could start looking at on a daily basis? You mentioned price by volume. I'm curious if there's a couple others, not necessarily for them to go start slinging trades, but to develop pattern recognition, to develop an understanding of what things pop up in this pool and what they generally look like.
Minimum liquidity is an absolute must. And I use about 100 million average daily dollar volume. Below there is kind of below $30 a share, below $100 million dollar volume is getting into the junk heap. Let's go below 50 million average daily dollar volume. RS above 80, 85. I don't even look at things below 90. In my newsletter, I almost don't cover stocks with RS below 90. Comp rating, EPS in the 80s and 90s, at least. I'm looking for 99. Dude, anybody can learn to scan with MarketSmith in about a month. When you generate those names, how do you handle them when you have a big position on and the market's pulling back because, India threatened to nuke Pakistan overnight, or there was a skirmish in the South China Sea and the Chinese shot down over fighters and the market gaps down 1,000 points on the open and you're long on margin? What do? Do you know what to do? Have you done it before? Do you have your stops all in place? Will you pull the trigger? Or will you go, I know it's not going to be that big of a deal, and then it goes down another 1,000 points the next day? I mean, the scanning and finding those stocks is the easy part. You're walking out of the dugout in the first inning to take your first swing. That's not even swinging at the ball. That's just figuring out what equipment you're going to use in the dugout. What's your batting helmet? What bat are you going to use? Now you get up to the plate, the guy will give you the chin music. You're going to swing outside the box. Implementation is process, and emotional control is everything. You have to learn how to screen and know what criteria you're looking for, but anybody can tighten up those variables to where you're only generating 15 or 20 names. Now, once you have that, now what? You're going to buy it extended? You're going to buy it in the bottom of a base? Or are you only going to buy it on a breakout when volume comes in? Implementation